Hello viewers, in this lecture of C Sharp, we are going to learn some more topics of object-oriented programming. So in this lecture, we are going to learn inheritance, polymorphism, and methods in C Sharp. So first of all, we will learn about inheritance. So you can see here, inheritance allows us to access the properties methods from another class that promotes the code reusability and code organization. It means that if you have a class of student and you have another class of more students, what will be common between them? They will have student name, student ID, roll number, and marks. So don't you think that you do not write the code again and again and do the code reusability? And yes, that's all about the inheritance. It allows us to reuse our code again and again. This shows us the flexibility of code. So to learn inheritance, you should know about two types of classes: parent class and child class. So what is a parent class? A parent class is a class that defines the common properties and methods. It means where you will define the method first. Like you must need to declare all those variables like student ID, name once, and then you can reuse. But you have to declare them once, and and the place you declare them once is known as the parent class. And second class is child class. A child class is a class which inherits the property of parent class. It means that you have a parent class which has all properties and you want to use those properties in another class. So that child will be child class. And next question come, how do we inherit a class? To inherit a class, let's suppose we have a class. An example is given here, public class vehicle. And in this class, you have two variables, model, string model and integer, string brand and integer model. So this is our parent class. We have where we have declared all the variables once. And here is a child class which inherits the parent class. You can see we have declared public class car. This is how we declare a class. And next here is how do we inherit a class. You can see ratio and the name of class. And you can see it will automatically inherit all the property of parent class. You can't see those property here, but when you will make an object of child class, and let's suppose then you have made an object of child class car, obj is new car, and when you will do obj dot, you will see these property brand and model. So next we are going to learn methods in C sharp. So this is also focused on code reusability. Now let's suppose you have a code that you have to use again and again in your program. So you will make a method of that code, and whenever you have to use that code, you will just call a method which will provide you a good well-defined space and code reusability, which will help you to understand your code in a better way. If someone else want to see your code, he will also be able to understand that code in a good way. So there are two types of method, void method and return type method. So you have a code that wants to write a thing again and again. Let's suppose you have to write hello Ashmit. So and you have to write that thing 10 or 20 times in your application. So you will make a void method because it will not return any value. It will just return a console.write line. And again, if you want to perform any calculation or a logical task, you will make a return type method. So the main difference between void method and return type method is you can see an example here, public static integer id and public stated void write. You can see here integer and void, they both are different things. Integer means it will return an integer value. You can see two parameters, integer a and integer b, both are integer. and it will return an integer value. You know that if you plus an integer in another integer, it will give you an integer. So it will return an integer value. And in second case, you can see public static void, right? Void means it will not return any value. It will just return a console.writeLine or something else. So this is how you create a method, public static. Static is important, so you can use that globally in your program. And the type, it can be string, integer, double or void. And then the name of method, and here the name of method is add and write. You can also pass some parameters like integer a and integer b. Let's move on to polymorphism. You will remember that in last lecture we learned about constructor. You can have more than one constructor in a class, and constructor will be same name as the name of class. So if you can have more than one constructor but with the same name, won't they give you error? Yes, they will give you an error. So to bypass that error, we change the parameters or the number of parameters or the data type of those parameters. Here also you can see we have two methods of same name, but they have same number of parameters, but they have different type of parameters. Here parameters is of integer and integer, and parameters of double and another double. You can see we are overloading a method. This is also known as method overloading. Now let's do a practical example of this code in Visual Studio 2019. Let's open Visual Studio. I have created a program here. First of all, we will create two class. Class cla class 1. It will have integer student ID, string student name, and integer student marks. And there is another class. We will make one more class, class 2. And now you want these same variable in this class. So what will you do? You will just copy paste it. But you can see we are not reusing our code. So Control plus Z. We will instead inherit this class. We learned how to inherit the ratio, and the name of parent class is class 1. Let's do the C capital and change here also. Now if let's create the object of both classes, class 1, class 1. Obj equals to new class 1, class 2, obj 1 equal to new class 2. Let's say 1 and take it as 2. Console.writeLine object 1 dot, wait, one more thing, you have to make this member public. Let's copy this, p small. Now let's make all the members public. And yes, now all the members are public. And let's assign the values to these variables. Object 1 dot student ID equals to 1, object 1 dot student name equals to Ashmit, student name, and object 1 dot marks equals to 70. Now let's do the same with object 2. Let's copy this. object 2, object 2, object 2. Let's change the value to Amit and do it 60. And yes, console dot write line, copy this, object 1 dot student id dot student name dot student marks, object 2, change these values, student id, student marks and student name. Let's execute this. Wait, I didn't do console.readline. And now let's execute this. You can see the result 1, Ashmit 72, Amit 60. It was opposite because I did marks first. This is no problem for us. Now let's learn about the polymorph. No, let's first learn about methods because it's more easy. So let's remove these classes because they are no use for us now. Bracket extra space. And now you have to keep one thing in mind. If you ever want to create a method, you should create it here after this method because it is told to good to make methods at end. It allows us to separate our code, which will be good for us because if someone else is working on the same project, he will came to know that all classes are in up and all the methods we have declared at the bottom. Let's make first a void method, static void, and let's take it as right. And it will return hello world. And now how do you call a method? Like you have created this method and there is no use of this method until you call this method in your main. Let's copy this, and this is how you call a method. Now you have two options. You can write console.readline here or remove it from here and paste it in your method. It will be same thing for you. Now if you execute this, you can see the result is paused here. And now if you remove this from here and bring it here and now execute your project, it is the same thing. You can see the hello world here. Now a question comes, can you give some parameters in void method? Yes, you can. Let's comment this code. Sorry. Yes, it will integer number and one more integer number 2. Let's remove this code from here. It will write console.writeLine number plus number 2. Now uncomment this code. It will take two numbers 5 and 10. And now if you execute this, you can see the result is 15. You can also give, and yes, you can also give a string parameter. String sentence. Let's comment this. Let's remove this code and console.writeLine send. It means whatever you will pass in this method, it will write the same thing. Sorry, you have to call the method right. You can see the error because it requires the parameter, and let's give the parameter as hello, I'm Ashmi. You can see the same result here, and yes, you can also make it of double. Let's comment this code again, number, and it will return number. Let's uncomment this again. Let's give it as 6.67. Let's give it 10.10, sorry, 10.1000. Why it's giving error? Yes, it was point. Earlier I did this. You have to do this point. Let's execute this. You can see 10.1 because it does not count 0. Let's take it as 2 and now execute our application. You can see 10.1. Now let's make a return type method. Copy this and paste it again. Integer d small. You can see already an error has come because we have not returned any type. You can see here, not all code paths return a value. It means you have to return a value if you have a return type function. Let's return. First let us give some parameter. Integer. Now let's pass two parameters, integer number 1 and integer number 2, and we will make a one variable integer result which is equal to number 1 plus number 2. You have to remove this cap, sorry, and it will return the result. Let's copy this and remove this, paste it here. We will make one more variable in main method, integer answer, equal to addition 10 and 20. Now see here what is happening. Let's remove this method to avoid confusion. You can see here we have created a method addition in which we have two parameters, number 1 and number 2, and we have one more variable result which is number 1 plus number 2, and we are returning the result which is integer. And now in void method we have declared one more variable integer answer which is calling our method, and it has two it has two integer data which is 10 and 20. It means now answer is 30 because number 1 plus number 2 is 30. 10 plus 20 is 30. Now we will console.write line our answer. Let's start this. You can see the answer 30, and this is how you can do addition in integer, which is our return method. Let's remove this code. Wait, let's not remove this. Let's create more method of calculator. Paste it again. It is subtract. This is multiply. Subtract. Now execute this. You can see minus 10 here. And if you do it 20 and do this 10, you will see 10. You can see the result 10. And now if you call multiply, your answer will be 200. You can see here. Or in a better way, you can, yes, you can change the result name, or it is not necessary here. And now let's learn about polymorphism. To learn polymorphism, we do not need to write any code, or we do. Yes, polymorphism is the same thing. If you have two code, sorry, if you have two method of same name but different parameters, it will run. And if you have two method of same name and same parameter data type, it will not run, because the compiler will confuse and it will give you error that the compiler cannot understand which method you want to use. But you have specified or differentiated between the name or the parameters data type. The compiler will understand when you will give the values here. When you give the value here, the compiler can understand 20 and 10 are integer value and you are must be using the different than string. Yes, this is how polymorphism work. Let's remove this all the code to avoid confusion, and remove this. Now we will create two more methods, public static, and it was, yes, void. Let's just take the example of void method, void write. Let's copy this and paste it again. You can see the error here because, read the error. Program already defines a member called write with the same parameter types. It means, you can see, there is no problem in having a method with same name, but the problem is they have same parameters. Let's just add one more parameter in first one, integer id. You can see the error is gone. But if you also give integer something else number, it will still give you an error because they have the same data type. And if you give one more parameter here, string name, the error is gone. And if you give one more parameter here, string date of birth, you can see the error is still here. It means either there must be different name or different data types or number of parameters. Let's add one more parameter here, integer marks. You can see error is gone. Now if you add one more parameter but of different data type, you will see no error, like something name. And this is how polymorphism works. We have two methods. Let's make it simple. String name and integer number. And it will console.write line name and it will write number. Now we will call both the method. Let's pass here string value Amit and pass here numerical value 10. You can see here void program write string name. It means the compiler know which method we are using. And you can see plus one overload, and it is talking about this method which is overloaded. I told you previously what is overloaded. When you have two methods of same name but different parameters or different parameters data type, it is called method overloading. You can see here it is overloaded and not giving you an error. And this is what polymorphism is. Now let's see the result. Of course it will be same. Yes, it is. So thanks for watching this lecture. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. In next video we will be learning about access specifier, which we write public, protected, internal and etc. We will learn why do we use them and what is their use. Thanks for watching. Have a nice